The night was quiet when the story began. The street lamps gave a soft yellow light, and the air was cool and calm. Nothing looked strange. Nothing looked dangerous. But inside the house, the narrator, let's call him Alex, felt something was wrong. He didn't know why. It was just a small feeling, like the air was waiting for something to happen. Alex was finishing his tea when he heard it. Crash! A sharp, loud sound hit the night like a scream. It came from the garage, his new garage. The garage with the crystal door he had spent months saving money for. At first he thought maybe something fell. Maybe the wind pushed something. But then came the second sound. Crack, shatter. This time it was clear, glass. A lot of it. Alex jumped to his feet. His heart started running faster than his legs. He rushed toward the front door, unlocked it, and stepped outside. The cold night air touched his face, but he didn't feel it. His body was warm with fear and confusion. He ran to the driveway, and stopped. The garage door, his expensive crystal garage door, was broken. Completely broken. Shattered pieces were all over the ground, shining like sharp stars under the street light. It looked like someone smashed a giant mirror. And then he saw her. A woman stood in the middle of the mess. Her hair was wild, her clothes wrinkled, and her chest rose and fell fast like she was running for hours. In her hands she held a metal rod, thick, heavy, and shining at the tip. She looked like she had come from a storm. Alex froze. He didn't know her name. He only knew her face from a few strange moments during the past week, slow driving by his house, long staring, strange comments. The neighbors whispered about her. They called her HOAKaren, a woman who loved rules more than people. But right now, she didn't look like someone who cared about rules. She looked scared. Her eyes were wide, not angry, but terrified. She kept turning her head, looking behind her like she was expecting someone to appear. Alex gathered some courage. What are you doing?" he asked, trying to sound calm. The woman jerked her head toward him. Her eyes were wild. "You don't understand," she shouted. Her voice cracked like she had been crying before. "You don't know what's happening." Alex stepped back. His mind tried to catch up. "Why did you break my door?" he asked again. "They're coming," she screamed. She pointed the metal rod toward the empty street. "They're coming to your house. They're coming right now." Alex looked around. The street was silent. No one was there. No movement. No danger. He tried to take a slow breath. "Who's coming?" She didn't answer. Instead, she kept staring at the road like some invisible monster was walking toward them. Then, suddenly, sirens. Bright red and blue lights filled the street. They bounced off windows and houses, making everything look like a flashing nightmare. The sound grew louder and louder until the police cars stopped right in front of Alex's house. Two officers jumped out, hands on their flashlights. One shouted, "Ma'am! Step away from the house! Drop the rod!" The woman didn't move. Alex raised his hands to show he was not part of the problem. His heart beat even faster now. He didn't know if the woman was dangerous or just scared. He didn't know if she would listen. And he didn't know why the police came so fast. The officers repeated the command, louder. "Ma'am, drop the weapon." This time, the woman slowly lifted her hands but kept her grip on the rod. She shook her head, eyes still fixed on the street. "You don't understand," she whispered. "They'll come. And when they come, everyone will see I was right." Alex felt the cold fear travel down his spine. Who was they? Why was she terrified? Why his garage? Why tonight? The officers moved forward carefully, almost like they were approaching a wild animal. Their flashlights hit the shattered glass, creating small rainbows on the driveway. The air was filled with tension and the faint smell of broken crystal. One officer looked at Alex. "Sir, step back. We've been tracking her all night." "Tracking her?" Alex's confusion grew deeper. The woman finally turned toward Alex again. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You should have listened. You should have checked your garage sooner." Before Alex could respond, the officers surrounded her. "Ma'am, put the rod down." Her grip tightened. For a moment, Alex feared she would run. Or attack. Or do something even crazier. But then, her hands opened. The rod fell. The loud clang echoed through the quiet neighborhood. The officers grabbed her arms gently but firmly and started guiding her toward the police car. She didn't fight. She didn't scream. She just looked toward the garage, and whispered something Alex couldn't hear. Alex looked at the broken door, the shocked officers, and the woman being taken away. And he knew the night was far from over. He took a deep breath and said to himself, "This is not just about a broken garage door. Something else is going on. Something big." Then the screen freezes. Narrator voice. "Let me tell you how everything went wrong that night." The day had started like any other for Alex. There was no sign, no warning, no strange feeling that something terrible would happen later. The morning sun was gentle, the birds were loud, and everything around him looked calm and normal. If someone had told Alex that tonight his garage door would be destroyed and a frightened woman would scream about them, he would have laughed and asked if it was a movie script. But life does not give warnings. It just changes. Alex spent the morning cleaning his kitchen, making coffee, and answering emails. His routine was simple. He liked quiet days, and this one looked peaceful. After lunch, he decided to work in his garage. The crystal door shined brightly whenever sunlight touched it, making small rainbows appear inside the garage. Alex loved that. He felt proud every time he saw the door because he had worked hard for it. But pride can disappear fast. And trouble always comes quietly. Alex first noticed something odd around noon. He was fixing a toolbox when he heard a slow engine outside. Not the usual fast-driving cars from neighbors. This one moved slowly, almost too slowly. He walked toward the garage entrance and saw a white SUV passing by. It moved at the speed of a walking person. The driver was a woman. Her face was stiff, her eyes sharp like she was searching for something important. She didn't look at the road. She looked at his garage. Her eyes didn't blink. Just locked on the crystal door as the car crawled past his house. Alex froze for a moment. The woman's stare felt heavy, almost cold. He didn't know her, but something about her expression made him uncomfortable. When the SUV reached the end of the street, she didn't turn right or left. She stopped. Then she reversed, still staring. Back and forth. Slow drive. Slow reverse. Eyes always on the garage door. Alex rubbed his neck. "That's strange," he whispered to himself. After a minute, the SUV finally drove away. Alex tried to laugh it off. Maybe she's lost, he told himself. Maybe she likes the design of the door. But deep inside, a small worry had already started. A tiny seed of fear. 2 hours passed. Everything seemed normal again. Alex ate a snack, played some music, and continued working in the garage. But the day wasn't done with surprises. At around 4 p.m., as Alex carried some boxes to the driveway, he saw the same SUV again. This time even slower. Almost crawling. The neighbor's dogs barked as the woman passed by. Her head was tilted slightly, and her fingers tapped on the steering wheel like she was thinking hard. Alex stepped forward, expecting her to stop and ask for directions. She didn't. She didn't even look at him. She looked only at the garage door. It was like she was memorizing it. Every curve. Every line. Every reflection. Alex's heartbeat changed. He didn't know why. She hadn't done anything wrong. But fear doesn't always need a reason. When the SUV disappeared again, Alex stood outside for a long moment, watching the street, trying to understand what he just saw. Later that evening, around 6 p.m., Alex was bringing out the trash when he met Mr. Hill, an old neighbor who loved gossip more than gardening. "You see her again?" Mr. Hill said, walking toward him. Alex blinked. Who? That woman, Mr. Hill said with a serious tone. The HOA troublemaker. Karen. Alex nodded slowly. So she had a name. Why does she keep staring at my garage? He asked. Mr. Hill leaned closer. She's been acting strange for weeks. Complaining about everything. Mailboxes, lawns, fences. She thinks everyone is breaking HOA rules. Alex frowned. I'm not breaking anything. Mr. Hill whispered, she thinks your garage door is illegal. She filed 2 reports about it already. Alex felt a cold shock. Why? It's approved. I have the documents. Mr. Hill raised his eyebrows. I know. But logic doesn't work on her anymore. Something is wrong with her. She's scared of something. Alex remembered her eyes. That deep, searching look. Scared? She didn't look scared earlier. She looked angry and obsessed. Mr. Hill sighed and walked away. Be careful, Alex. Karen believes she sees things no one else sees. Alex went back inside his house, trying hard to ignore the old man's words. But the quiet evening didn't calm his mind. Instead, it made him think more about the strange SUV, the long stairs, and the way Karen's eyes followed the crystal door like it was alive. He didn't know it, but Karen had already made her decision. Tonight, she would come again. Not as a neighbor. Not as someone who wanted to talk. But as someone who believed the garage door was a threat. And Alex had no idea how close he was to the first crack in the night that would change everything. Soon, he would hear the crash. The scream. The police sirens. And the sentence that started it all. You don't understand. They're coming. But for now, the sun slowly went down, and the danger slowly came closer. The sun had just set when Alex stepped out of his garage for the last time that calm evening. The sky was fading into a soft purple, and the street grew quiet, too quiet. Even the crickets seemed slower, as if they sensed something Alex couldn't. He locked the garage door, wiped sweat from his hands, and walked toward the front yard. That's when he felt it. A presence. Someone, watching. He turned slowly. There she was. Standing still at the edge of his driveway, like a shadow that had stepped out of nowhere. Karen. Her arms crossed tightly, her eyes fixed on him with a careful mix of judgment and curiosity, like she was inspecting a crime scene. Alex blinked. Hello? Karen didn't reply. Her lips pressed together, and her nose lifted just a little like she was sniffing trouble. She stepped forward with small, sharp steps. Every step felt like she was cutting the silence into pieces. Do you know, she finally spoke, that your house is 2 inches off the approved neighborhood color? Her voice was flat, cold, and strangely calm. Alex stared at her. What? No, I had everything approved. Karen's eyebrows rose in slow motion. People always say that. But rules are rules. And someone has to protect this community. She said the last line like she was a superhero, except she looked like someone who would fight crime by writing long angry emails. Alex opened his mouth, but she wasn't done. And your plants, she continued, pointing a stiff finger at the garden. They are slightly too tall. They could attract unnecessary birds. Alex looked at the plants. They were normal. Very normal. Nothing about them looked like bird-attracting danger. He forced a small smile. I think they're okay. Karen's eyes widened as if he had insulted her ancestors. Okay? Okay? This neighborhood is not about okay. It is about perfection. Alex rubbed his forehead. He wanted to be polite, but the encounter was growing stranger by the second. Karen stepped even closer. And that thing, she whispered, pointing at the crystal garage door, is not community approved. Now Alex felt annoyed. It is approved. I have every paper. Karen leaned close enough that Alex could smell her strong peppermint gum. Papers can be faked, she said darkly. Alex blinked in shock. Why would I fake HOA papers? Karen looked around the neighborhood as if someone was listening. Her voice dropped. You don't know what's going on. But I do. I see things. She tapped her temple with her finger. Alex felt a chill. What things? Karen didn't answer right away. Instead, she turned to the garage door and studied it like it was a secret weapon. You think it's just a fancy door, don't you? She whispered. You think it shines because of the sun. But I know what shines behind it. She shivered. I know what hides behind reflections. Alex stepped back slowly. Something was definitely off. This was not a normal HOA complaint. This was something else, something stranger. Karen snapped out of her whispering and switched back to her strict tone. You need to remove it, she said firmly. Tonight. Alex laughed nervously. Remove my garage door? Tonight? Why? Because, she said, looking over her shoulder at the empty road, they notice reflections. They travel through reflections. And this door is calling them. Alex stared at her. Are you okay? Karen's expression hardened. Don't talk to me like I'm crazy. I didn't say. You thought it. She pointed at him like he was a student failing an exam. You don't listen. The HOA doesn't listen. No one listens. But when things start happening, when the lights flicker, when you hear footsteps behind your walls, when shadows move inside the house. She took a deep breath. Then you will remember this conversation. Alex didn't know what to say. He felt stuck somewhere between fear, confusion, and the strong desire to go inside and lock the door. Karen's voice dropped even lower. I tried to warn them before. They laughed at me. They said I was imagining things. But I see what others don't. Suddenly, she reached out and touched the garage door. Her fingers trembled. They're attracted to this, she whispered. To the shine. To the reflection. To the way it bends light. It's like a beacon for them. Alex gently pulled her hand away. Please don't touch my door. Karen stared at him with a strange mix of pity and anger. You shouldn't have brought that door here, she said. It's too late now. Alex felt his heart drop a little. Too late for what? Karen looked down the street again. The sky was darker now. The air felt heavier. You'll know, she said. Soon. Then, without saying goodbye or explaining anything, she turned around and walked away, fast at first, then faster, until she almost looked like she was escaping from something only she could see. Alex watched her disappear into the shadows. He told himself she was just a difficult HOA member. Just a strange woman. Just someone who wanted control. But deep inside, something told him she believed every word she said. And she would come back again. The night was only beginning. The night settled over the neighborhood like a heavy blanket. Houses dimmed their lights one by one. Dogs curled up on porches. Cars stopped moving. But Alex couldn't relax. He kept thinking about Karen's words. They travel through reflections, the door is a beacon, you'll know soon. He wanted to believe she was just confused. Or dramatic. Or simply obsessed with HOA rules. But something about her trembling voice, something about the way she kept staring behind her, something about the fear in her eyes, it all stayed in his mind like a quiet echo that refused to fade. After dinner, Alex walked toward the living room. But every few minutes, his eyes went back to the garage door through the window. The crystal panels looked calm. Beautiful. Harmless. They reflected the streetlights with a soft glow. Nothing looked dangerous. Still, he kept checking. Finally, at around 10 p.m., he told himself, enough. She's just a strange neighbor. He tried watching TV, but his ears kept listening for distant footsteps. He tried reading a book, but his eyes kept drifting toward the window. He tried relaxing, but his mind replayed her warning again and again. They notice reflections, they hide behind light. Alex shook his head. That's crazy, he said aloud, as if talking to himself could make him believe it. But the night had other plans. At 10:47 p.m., Alex heard something outside. A sound too soft to be a knock. Too quick to be a footstep. Too light to be a voice. Tap, tap. He froze. There it was again. Tap, tap, tap. Alex moved quietly to the window and peeked outside. Nothing. The street was empty. Still. Silent. But when he looked toward the garage, he saw something unusual. A shadow. Not a normal shadow. This one moved. Slowly. Like someone was walking right in front of the garage door, but there was no one there. Just the shadow, sliding across the crystal surface. Alex's heart thumped. No, that's just a tree or something, he whispered. But all the trees were still. There was no wind. Nothing was moving outside except that shadow. And then the garage door camera blinked. Once. Twice. Then went dark. A cold wave ran down Alex's spine. Karen's voice drifted back into his memory like a ghost. Reflections glitch before they show up. He stepped away from the window. His breathing grew shallow. It's just a malfunction, he told himself. But even he didn't believe his own words. At 11:18 p.m., Alex heard another sound. This time, louder. Thump. A heavy, strong hit. Like something large brushed against the garage door. He grabbed a flashlight, even though his hands shook, and stepped outside onto the porch. The air felt colder. Too cold for a normal night. The street was exactly the same, empty, quiet, still. But the garage felt different. Alex walked toward it slowly, each step echoing in the dark driveway. When he reached the door, he stopped. There were fingerprints. Small ones. Too many. Pressed right into the crystal surface, dozens of them. They looked like someone, or something, had touched the door again and again with fast little hands. Alex stepped back. What is this? Who did this? He whispered. He reached out and touched the surface. The fingerprints were warm. Fresh. He swallowed hard. No! This is not real. This is not happening. The night suddenly felt heavier. The silence felt deeper. And the shadows near the bushes felt darker. Alex turned on the flashlight and shined it around. Nothing. But he kept feeling watched. Like something stood just outside the circle of light, waiting. Slowly breathing. Listening. He stepped back toward the house, eyes still locked on the garage, until he finally reached the door and went inside. He locked it. Then locked it again. At 12:03 a.m., as Alex tried to calm himself, his phone buzzed with a notification. Garage motion detected. He froze. The camera was working again. Hands shaking, he opened the app. The screen loaded. A dark image appeared. The garage door. Still cracked with fresh fingerprints. And then. A shape. Small. Fast. Blurry. It moved across the screen from one corner to another. Too quick to understand. Too strange to ignore. Alex's breath stopped for a moment. And just as he put his face closer to the phone to look again, a loud knock hit the front door. Bang! 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 Alex jumped and dropped his phone. It hit the floor with a sharp crack. The knocking continued. But it wasn't angry. It wasn't loud. It wasn't even steady. It was fast. Nervous. Panicked. Like someone begging to be let in. Alex slowly walked to the door. His hands trembled as he turned the knob and pulled the door open. And there she was. Karen. breathing heavily. Hair messy. Eyes wide with terror. Her voice was a whisper of pure fear. "They're here." For a second, Alex could not move. Karen stood on his doorstep like a person who had been running for miles through a nightmare. Her breath came out in sharp bursts. Her eyes were wide and glassy, not angry, terrified. She grabbed Alex's arm with shaking fingers. "They're here," she whispered again, like the words themselves were heavy. Alex swallowed hard. "Who?" "Karen, what are you talking about?" Karen looked over her shoulder so fast her neck almost cracked. Her head snapped left, then right. She didn't answer him. Instead, she pushed past him and stepped into his house without waiting for permission. She locked the door behind her, then added the chain lock, then slid the deadbolt. Her hands were shaking so much the locks clicked loudly. Alex backed away slowly. "Karen, calm down. What did you see?" She ignored him and grabbed the curtains, pulling them shut. Then she turned off the nearest lamp. Darkness swallowed half the room. Alex stared. "What are you doing?" Karen spoke without looking at him. "They follow light. They travel through reflections. You made it easy for them with that door. Too easy. I told you." Alex felt frustration rising, but fear sat right beside it. "I don't understand. Who are they?" Karen finally looked at him. And in her eyes, Alex saw something he had never seen before, not anger, not HOA obsession, but pure panic. "There were 3 of them," she said. "Last night. Behind my house. They moved fast. Too fast. And they saw the shine of your door. I tried to warn you." Alex opened his mouth to speak, but then a noise outside cut through the room. Tap tap. The same sound from earlier. Karen froze. Her face drained of color. Alex felt his own breath catch in his throat. Tap, tap, tap. This time louder. Closer. Karen whispered, "They found it." Alex slowly moved toward the window. Karen grabbed his wrist, but he gently pulled free. He had to see. His heart thumped so hard he felt dizzy. He opened just one corner of the curtain. And saw it. Something small, crouched near the garage door. At first, he thought it was an animal. But then it lifted its head. It wasn't an animal. Eyes, too large, too reflective, looked straight at him. Alex stumbled backward. What is that?" Karen shook her head. "I told you. They hide in shadows. They copy shapes. They squeeze through small spaces. And they love reflections. You gave them a window into your home." Alex felt his skin crawl. He tried to breathe. He couldn't. The thing outside moved closer to the garage door. Its fingers, long and thin, pressed against the crystal surface. Tap. 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 Just like before. But this time, the sound was almost impatient. Karen stepped closer to Alex. "You need to listen to me now." But before she could continue. Crack. The garage door shook. Alex jumped. The camera, it picked something up earlier, something fast. Karen nodded, trembling. "They're testing the surface. They always do. They want to get inside." Another crack. This one deeper. Alex ran to the small window on the side of the house and looked again. The creature wasn't alone anymore. 2 more stood behind it, small, shadow-like, shifting forms that moved like smoke trapped inside a body. Karen whispered, "I told you. I told everyone." Alex backed away from the window. "No. No. This is impossible." But the truth was already crawling across his driveway. Suddenly, one of the creatures lifted its arm and hit the garage door hard. Boom! The crystal shook. A thin line of fracture spread across it like a lightning strike. Alex's heart dropped. His expensive door, his bright, shining door, was turning into the worst magnet he had ever seen. Karen grabbed his shoulders. They break what shines. They break what shows their reflection. That's why they're obsessed with your door. Alex could barely speak. Why my house? Karen shook her head. It's not you. It's the door. It's the reflector. It's the signal. Outside. Crack. The fracture deepened. The creatures hit the door again. And again. And again. Alex felt helpless. What do we do? Call the police? Karen shook her head. They won't believe you. They never believe me. Another hit. Another crack. The door was seconds from shattering. Alex looked at Karen. We can't just stand here. Karen closed her eyes. There's only one way to stop them. Alex swallowed. What way? Karen pointed toward the garage. You have to break the door before they do. Alex stared at her in shock. What? Why? Because if they break it, they will enter through the cracks. But if you break it yourself, the surface stops reflecting. The path closes. Alex couldn't believe what he was hearing. Karen, that makes no sense. But then... boom! A massive hit. A sharp screech. And a piece of crystal fell from the garage door onto the driveway. The creatures hissed, a sound like wind slicing through metal. Karen grabbed Alex's arm. You have to choose right now. Break the door yourself. Or let them in. Before Alex could decide, the creatures lunged at the door together. And the first panel shattered. The attack had begun. The night air smelled sharp and cold. Alex's hands were trembling. Pieces of crystal from the garage door lay scattered across the driveway, glittering like tiny, broken stars. The creatures, or shadows, were pressing closer. They moved fast, too fast, like the darkness itself had taken shape and wanted inside. Karen grabbed Alex's arm, shaking. They're stronger than before. You cannot wait. Alex took a deep breath. His mind raced. Break the door, or let them in. But before he could act, a new sound cut through the chaos. Sirens. Red and blue lights spilled onto the street. The creatures froze, their shapes flickering like broken shadows. Their hiss, the low, twisting sound that had made Alex's blood run cold, died into silence. Police cars screeched to a stop at the edge of the driveway. Officers jumped out with flashlights in hand. Step back. Everyone stay back, one shouted. Karen's eyes went wide. Relief and fear mixed in a strange way. They came, finally, she whispered. Alex barely had time to process. The shadows, they recoiled at the bright lights, twisting and shrinking. One of them slithered backward toward the fractured garage door, but the police flashlights made it hesitate. Ma'am, one officer yelled at Karen. Drop your hands. Karen slowly lifted her trembling hands, but she kept her eyes on the garage, scanning every reflection, every broken shard. You don't understand, she cried. They're here because of the door. They follow reflections. Alex's voice shook. They're real. The officers exchanged confused looks. One stepped forward cautiously. Sir, what are you talking about? Before Alex could answer, a piece of the crystal door suddenly fell with a sharp crash. The shadows hissed in unison and backed away from the broken glass. It was as if the police lights had frozen them, but only temporarily. Karen's voice broke. If the door isn't destroyed, if it isn't gone, they'll come back. The officers began carefully moving toward her. Ma'am, we just want to make sure everyone is safe, one said. But Karen's fear made her stiff. She didn't resist, they had clearly been tracking her, but she refused to relax. They're hiding inside. Karen screamed suddenly, pointing at the garage. Check inside. Now! You'll see. One officer slowly approached the garage, hand on his flashlight. He moved cautiously, scanning the broken crystal panels. Inside, the garage looked empty. Quiet. Normal. Alex exhaled a shaky breath. See? Nothing's there. Karen shook her head violently. No! You don't get it. They're real. Another officer stepped closer to Karen, gently taking her arm. Ma'am, we're taking you for questioning. You're not in trouble, but we need to make sure you're safe. Karen didn't resist. She allowed them to guide her toward the police car, but her eyes never left the garage. Her hands trembled violently, and she muttered under her breath. They follow the light, they follow the reflection, you should have listened. Alex watched as the police carefully led her away. His heart was still racing. His eyes went back to the broken garage door. The panel that had been shattered earlier glinted under the flashing lights. Tiny fragments of crystal caught the red and blue of the sirens, scattering light across the driveway. For a moment, everything seemed calm. The shadows were gone, or at least, they were hiding. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying only the faint sound of distant sirens. Alex knelt down and touched one of the fallen shards. Cold. Sharp. Irreplaceable. His expensive crystal door, the one thing he had been proud of, was ruined. And yet, somehow, he felt grateful. The police had arrived just in time. He looked up toward the sky. The street was silent again. Peaceful, almost. One officer walked over and spoke to him quietly. Sir, she's been reported before. Strange behavior. Tonight, we received multiple reports. You're lucky we arrived when we did. Alex nodded, too tired to speak. His mind raced through the events of the night, the SUV, the stairs, Karen's words, the shadows. Everything felt unreal, yet terrifyingly real. The officer glanced at the broken garage. It's strange, but we'll file a report. For now, stay inside. Wait until morning. Alex took a deep breath and stepped back. The shards of crystal glimmered faintly under the fading lights. He felt a mix of sorrow and relief. Sorrow for the door he had spent months saving. Relief that the police had arrived. And then, quietly, he heard Karen's voice echo in his mind, even though she was already being driven away. They follow reflections, they will come again. Alex shivered. He knew the night wasn't over. But for now, the immediate danger had stopped. And he could finally look at the broken door, realizing that tonight had changed everything. Tonight, the world he knew, the quiet neighborhood, the safe driveway, the calm house, had shattered along with the crystal. And there was no turning back. The first light of dawn crept across the quiet street. The broken shards of the crystal garage door sparkled weakly in the soft morning sun, scattering tiny rainbows across the driveway. Everything looked calm. Peaceful. Like nothing had happened the night before. But Alex knew better. The events of the night, Karen, the shadows, the shattered door, were not over. He could feel it in his chest, in the way his hands shook, and in the cold emptiness where fear had lived just hours ago. He stepped outside carefully, avoiding the largest pieces of broken crystal. His neighbors were already stirring, curious and wide-eyed, whispering to one another about the flashing lights, the police cars, and Karen. One of the officers from last night approached him. Sir, we checked the area. Nothing unusual found. Karen is in custody for questioning. But we also received multiple reports from other neighbors. She's been trouble for weeks. Strange behavior, complaints, sometimes aggressive. You're lucky we came when we did. Alex nodded silently. I know. But there's more, isn't there? The officer hesitated. Then he spoke quietly. From what she said, she believed she saw threats that no one else could see. People dismissed her. She claimed she could sense danger, shadows, reflections, things moving where nothing should be. I don't know if it's real, or if she was troubled. But it's clear she believed it. Alex looked at the broken garage. The fragments glinted like frozen fire. He remembered Karen's words. They follow reflections, they travel through light, the door is a beacon. It all sounded insane. Impossible. And yet, after last night, he couldn't shake the memory of those shadows or the creatures he had seen moving outside, crouching and flickering in the dark. He bent down and picked up a piece of the broken crystal, turning it in his hand. It was cold and sharp, heavy with the weight of the night. He wondered if Karen had been right. Was there something unnatural about the garage door? Something the police, the neighbors, and logic couldn't see? Alex sighed. He didn't have answers. Not yet. He decided to walk around the driveway, inspecting the damage. The shattered panels were gone now, piled near the curb for removal. Pieces of glass were scattered across the lawn. The expensive garage door, his pride, his hard work, was ruined. But in the wreckage, he also noticed something strange. No footprints. No signs of anyone outside except Karen. Nothing else. Yet he could feel it. The way the night had pressed against him, the way the shadows had moved, it was still there. And then, a knock. Alex jumped. His heart raced. He wasn't expecting anyone. Slowly, he opened the door. It was Mr. Hill, his old neighbor. His eyes were serious, but calm. I heard what happened last night. Crazy, isn't it? Alex nodded, gripping the doorframe. You have no idea, or maybe you do. It was terrifying. Mr. Hill looked at the broken garage door. I've lived here for decades. Seen plenty of HOA fights. Strange people. But what you experienced, that's different. Karen, she's sensitive to things most people ignore. She sees patterns, dangers, shadows others dismiss. Sometimes too far, sometimes right. Last night. I think she was right. Alex stared at him. Right? About what? Those shadows? Mr. Hill hesitated. I don't know if what you saw was real, in the normal sense. But I've noticed strange things before. Reflections moving in ways they shouldn't, light bending strangely on certain windows, and now your garage door. Something about it drew her attention, yes. And maybe it drew something else. Alex felt a shiver. His expensive, shining garage door, a beacon. Karen had called it a beacon. Could it really have been that? Could she really have been warning him all along? The police had saved him. That much was clear. But Karen, her fear had been real. And maybe, just maybe, so had the things she warned about. For a long moment, Alex just stood there, looking at the broken glass. The calm morning sun touched the jagged edges, casting tiny rainbows like fractured light from another world. He imagined them moving, alive. Dancing in silence. Waiting. He finally spoke. I don't know if I'll ever understand what happened. But I think Karen was trying to protect me. Maybe she went too far, maybe she's troubled. But I can't ignore that she saved me too. Mr. Hill nodded. Some people see the world differently. Sometimes too much. Sometimes exactly enough. Alex took a deep breath. He walked back inside. The house felt quieter now, safer, but he knew the calm was fragile. The night had changed everything. The world he thought was normal had cracks in it, shadows hiding where he couldn't see, dangers moving in silence, and reflections that might not be just reflections. He looked at the broken shards on the counter, what remained of the crystal door. A symbol of his pride, now ruined, now warning him. He whispered to himself, almost like a promise. I don't know what's real, but I'll be ready next time. I won't ignore the signs. Outside, the sun climbed higher. Birds chirped. Neighbors walked by, commenting on the police cars, the broken garage. Life seemed normal again. But Alex knew it wasn't. The shadows, the reflections, the warnings, they were still out there. Waiting. watching. And one day, they might return. For now, he had survived. And that was enough.